What is next for the Philadelphia sports scene? Eagles just lost the Super Bowl. The Phillies, the Union, losing their championship games as well. What is next as we enter possibly the most critical Eagles offseason in the history of the franchise? We're going to talk that. We're going to talk the Juju age.
Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, turn on the notifications on all social media platforms. I'd greatly appreciate that as we continue in Philadelphia Eagles history. It is a tough week to say the least, Phil. Phil, I'm reading my own name off your thing there, Joe. Look, guys, it was tough. I actually considered thoroughly. I considered next before we. One of those things that blew up yesterday on my social media, and this is that AJ Brown, Juju Smith-Shuster rivalry. If you want to call it a rivalry, I don't know. Beef that kind of popped up. I want to address it because obviously, sorry, I'm having some internet problems. I don't know here. I'm live. I know I'm live, but my computers are freezing up here on the side, so I don't know what's going on there. I want to address it because I put out a tweet yesterday, and people didn't like it. Plain and simple. They just didn't like it. And I put out a tweet. I don't want to see AJ Brown trash talking Juju. We lost. They won. We complain nonstop about the other teams, 49ers, Giants, etc. They're fans for talking trash after losing. Let's be the bigger people here and focus getting back to the Super Bowl next year. And that is really where my focus is and where the Eagles' focus should be. Now let's do the backstory. Let's put this up on the screen. This was Juju Smith-Schuster's tweet yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. Yeah. It was yesterday, 3:18 p.m. I'll hold you when it matters most, obviously. A direct dig at James Bradbury's holding penalty that cost us the Super Bowl. You know, whether you want to talk about it being a trash penalty or not, it is what it is. To letter of the law, it was a penalty. Shouldn't have probably been called there. Whatever. I'm over it. I've moved on already. Juju, though, obviously Juju never moves on from anything because that's Juju. Okay? So then AJ Brown, let's make sure that popped up there, goes ahead and puts this out. First off, congratulations. You all deserve it. But this is lame. You was on the way out of the league before Mahomes resurrected your career on your one-year deal, TikTok boy. He admitted that he grabbed you, but don't act like you're like that or ever was. Congratulations again. Now, I came out yesterday and said I didn't like this, that AJ Brown did this. Because I don't like this, that he did this. We went void of drama all year. We stayed laser focused all year. We voided that drama, the outside noise, the Cilios, the Chrissy Sims, the drama. We blocked it out. Us fans didn't, but the players did. They stayed laser focused on their one goal. Now, I put out a tweet, that I don't like it. And man, they're wrong. He's having his teammate back. Nothing wrong with it. I don't see what you're saying here. This was coming to the defense of a teammate. Trolling somebody over a ticky-tack penalty is pretty weak. He's standing up. Guy had 53 yards, no points, shaky flag, acting like he's the MVP. Nothing wrong with having it. Everybody's saying that AJ Brown is having his teammates back. And I'm okay with that. But to the victors go the spoils. Chiefs won. They won the Super Bowl. We know what Juju Smith-Schuster is. He is a TikTok boy. He's more famous for his social media presence than his actual play on the field. But AJ Brown could have said something a little differently. He didn't have to throw in TikTok boy and your career was over till Mahomes saved you and all. Just say, yeah, you're right. Enjoy your spoils. We got you next year. We'll prove that we're the better team, and we're going to have the better offseason. Hell, you might not be there. Whatever. A.J. Brown took it far by throwing insults in his defense of the team, calling him TikTok boy and whatever else, and he was going to be out of the league. What's this comment here? It was an issue until other NFL players not affiliated with. Yeah, and I get that. I get what happened, and I understand why everything happened. But I don't want it to happen. I want our team to be better than everybody else, on the field and off the field. I know A.J. Brown, he's a diva wide receiver. He is. And we're going to have an A.J. Brown conversation, on the field conversation, later this offseason. But I don't want drama. I want laser focus. Learn from your quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts said, Monday, I believe it was, it'll be time to talk extension. I'm talking next year and getting back to the Super Bowl. Laser focused. No distractions. This creates a distraction. An unnecessary distraction. An unwanted distraction, at least in my mind. And it annoys me that so many people, so many Eagles fans, were so against every negative thing that every other team in person said about our squad all year long. And they're bitter, sore losers. I know A.J. Brown was coming to the defense of James Bradbury, but the way he did it makes him sound like a sore loser now. Yo, to the victors go the spoils, I think is the best way to say it. And let's be honest. They won. They get the right to be like this. And like I said, Juju might not even be on the Chiefs next year. I don't know what his contract situation is, but we face the Chiefs next year, I think. Look, we don't need the added distraction. The ultimate goal. We're about to enter, in my opinion, the most important offseason in Eagles history. And now we've got drama. And I'm creating more drama by disagreeing with creating the drama. I don't care what Juju said. You know what? Juju wants to talk trash. Okay. Another chip on the shoulder, another check on the wall, another piece of bulletin board material for the locker room. Let's be bigger. That is what we've been all year, the bigger, better team, the mentally focused team. We came up short. Damn straight we did. It's heartbreaking, disappointing. I'm still not over the emotional heartbreak of losing that Super Bowl. But I'm ready to focus and get laser focused on the next year. I want to know what the Eagles are going to do to get back to the pinnacle next year. I want to know what's going to happen with our coordinators to get us back to this pinnacle next year. That is all my focus is on. And that's what I want the Eagles team, the players, to focus on. I want them to focus on what's most important. And starting more drama with the team that just beat you in the Super Bowl, in my opinion, is not the course of action I would take. And you know what? If A.J. Brown just wanted to make a simple comment, you're wrong here, move on, whatever. But then throwing insults into the equation is where the drama comes. Now, I'm sure I don't get on TikTok much. I'm sure Juju is going to respond with more because of the TikTok boy comments and the Mahomes saved your career comments. Look, it's just going to be a beef that goes back and forth till they play each other again now. I don't need that. I don't want that. The conversation of today's show is supposed to be what is next in Philadelphia sports. But I've got to address comments that I make because everybody, Phil, Juju came at Bradbury's defense. Classless by Juju. What was classless back by A.J. Brown? There's a difference between disrespect and trash talk. Defending your teammates is what a leader does. It's not. Juju deserves it. He's a shithead. Yeah. So let him be. Don't stoop to his level. Yeah, I didn't know the initial. When I made the thing, I didn't even know of everything that was going on. But you know what? It's still defending, not trash talking. It is trash talking when you use certain words. Juju is being a child. Juju is being a child, and AJ is stepping up to the plate. Juju is being a child, and AJ is So if you get pushed, you got to push back. No, you turn. You be the bigger man. Juju did come at Bradbury. I know. AJ is sticking up for his guy. Look, it's an unnecessary distraction at this point, in my opinion. We just lost Shane Steichen yesterday and Jonathon Gannon, both our coordinators. We should be focused on who and what we do next and who we hire next so we can get back to that pinnacle. The biggest offseason question, Jalen Hurts extension and what that does to free agency and the draft and everything else we have to do to get back to that pinnacle. That should be the story we're going to talk about day in and day out. Free agency starts March 15th. The draft is April 27th or 8th or something like that. That's where our focus needs to be. And the fact that I had an opinion on it, and so many people, I read some of the polite responses to my opinion on it. That doesn't count the ones that aren't polite. I think I lost 17 followers yesterday on Twitter. Probably because people didn't agree with me. I don't care. I don't want distractions. That was my outside of actually reaching the Super Bowl, the thing that gave me the most joy last year, or this past season, was the fact that our team, the Eagles, stayed void of distractions off the field. They stayed focused on their performance and the game and getting better every single day. That Jalen Hurts Mamba mentality that I talked about, that he has. If I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm pulling A.J. Brown aside yesterday. I'm hitting him up on Twitter or text. Well, I'm sure they text and call each other. I'm hitting him up. I'm like, yo, this is not what we do here. This is my team. This is what Jalen Hurts is saying. This is my team. No drama. That's what I'm doing if I'm Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts isn't making the offseason about his contract extension. Jalen Hurts is making it about being better, fixing the mistakes that we made in the Super Bowl so that we can get back to that point. That's what I want. That's what he wants. That's what we should all want as Eagles fans. But now we got drama instead. So that's what I want to address. I think people also mistake my thing. I don't have a problem with somebody coming to a teammate's aid. What I have a problem with is making it and stooping to their level. Yo, you got a problem? Good for you. But we're going to get back. You might not be in the league next year, Juju. You know? Don't stoop to that level. That's all I was trying to make with that point. Don't stoop to Juju Smith-Shuster's level. I can never say his name right. Juju Smith-Shuster. Even his name, you'll want to cause drama with him because of his name. But don't be that person. Be better. Focus on being better. And that's that. And that's my whole point in that conversation. I just want the Eagles to be better. I just want Juju or A.J. Brown to not bring drama into our clubhouse. I don't want drama anywhere, honestly. I just don't. I want no drama. Is that too much to ask for? So that is off the page now. I'm done with that. I'm moving on. I'm muting that conversation on Twitter. All the responses I'm getting, it's getting muted. Done. Whatever. I'm over it. I'm laser focused. Focus on this offseason. And yesterday, what is next for this Philadelphia sports team is kind of the title of the show. What is next is the Phillies season is about to start, and the Sixers are coming towards the bottom quarter of their season. But really, all my mind is focused in on is who the next two coordinators of the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be. We could be focused on the Cleveland Cavaliers-Sixers game tonight. A huge game. Can the Sixers follow suit with the Eagles and Phillies and make a deep playoff, and the Union make a deep playoff run? The book is the same book we've seen before. The book of second-round exits and coming up short for Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid in the playoffs, and James Harden to an extent in the playoffs, has been written and read multiple times. Will they be able to be any different this year? I don't know. But the confidence isn't there, and it should be. I don't know if anybody watched a little bit of that Bucks Celtics game last night. They're the class of the East. It was an overtime victory by Boston. Boston did not even have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the game. And they still took the Bucks and won in or they lost to the Bucks in overtime. Somehow we got to find a way not to face the Bucks or the Celtics to the conference finals and hope that one knocks the other out. Because if we've got to go through both those teams, there's no way. They're a class above us, for sure. And it's not a knock on the Sixers. It's just a tip of the cap to those two teams and those two organizations and how good they are and how well managed they are and how well coached they are. I mean, the Celtics taking the Bucks to overtime with Blake Griffin, one of your leading scorers because your other two guys are out. Come on. Hell of a job. But so that's why my focus isn't there. The Phillies pitchers and catchers report this week, trying to repeat as NL pennant champions, NL National League champions. And I'm not overly excited just yet because a taste of the Super Bowl is still in my mouth. And I want to focus in on what the Eagles need to do to get back there. This is a baseball town, especially when the Phillies are good. But that taste of the Super Bowl is still fresh in my mind. And it's a baseball town, but it'll always be an Eagles town, no matter what. The Eagles could be 3-14, and we'll still be talking Eagles more than Phillies and Sixers combined. We're going to talk Phillies. I got a lot to say about this Phillies team. But I was asked when I was on Jeff Warren's, the Philadelphia Sports Table podcast this week, who has the best chance of being the team in Philadelphia that brings us a title next at this moment. The Phillies, who just went to the World Series, the Union, who went to the MLS Cup, Eagles Super Bowl, the Sixers, who are playing right now and are a damn good team with question marks. And I said it's the Eagles because you still got Jalen Hurts. And as long as Jalen Hurts keeps his team laser focused, they're going to be the team that is the best chance to get us to another title. This is not a knock on the Sixers or the Phillies. It's just that's how confident I am in the Philadelphia Eagles. So it starts with the big news yesterday, official news. We knew it was rumored and probable, but the official news that Jonathon Gannon and Shane Steichen are both gone. Both taking head coaches. Shane Steichen is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathon Gannon, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Man, I wouldn't want to be either of those two head coaches now. Two terrible organizations. The Cardinals are a train wreck, and Kyler Murray, you got a lot of money zapped up in him, and yeah, that's not a place you want to be. And Indy, poor Shane Steichen, I mean, you got to deal with Irsay and all that drama all the time. Tough spots for those two guys to have their first coaching gigs, head coaching gigs. We'll see. As long as they're not playing the Eagles, I am going to cheer for them. I'm going to hope for the best for them. But losing both your coordinators, now I'm not going to fact check my man Mark here, but he says replacing two coordinators in an offseason happened twice in 30 years. Niners in 94, Bengals in 13. Each made the playoffs but one and done. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to fact check Mark. I'm hoping he's accurate in it. But if that's the case, there's a reason why. It's hard. It's a big deal. And there's so many things floating around. We'll start with the offense square because I think that's the easiest call to an extent. Everyone's going to talk about, including me, Brian Johnson, quarterback coach being promoted from within to be the new offensive coordinator of the Eagles. It's obvious that he played a major role in the development, the fast development of Jalen Hurts. It's obvious. So it's easy to say he should be the guy. But see, here's the thing. Shane Steichen called the plays. Not Nick Sirianni. So that means if Brian Johnson takes over as offensive coordinator, that means he's going to call the plays. I like Nick Sirianni I like my head coach not calling plays. I like the coordinators handling that aspect of it so you can focus on the team more. And let's be honest, we don't know anything about Brian Johnson's play calling ability. We don't know if he's been in the back pocket, in the hip of Shane Steichen, why he's calling plays and when he's calling the plays. This offense was fire all year. One of the best in the league. We don't know what Brian Johnson's going to do play calling wise. We don't know whether he's going to succeed or fail. It seems like the obvious choice, but we don't know. So if you promote him to offensive coordinator, something before we get to the defensive coordinator part, it kind of links to it, is I really, truly, firmly believe we need a veteran assistant on this team, whether it's in a coordinator role, the quarterback coach role, special teams role, defensive backs coach, whatever it may be. We need a veteran, a guy that's been there, done that, a head coach, a successful former coordinator in that locker room, in that coach's room as the added voice. So if Brian Johnson gets promoted, maybe you'll go find a former coach or offense coordinator that's moved down in his career a little bit to take over that quarterback coach position. Remember, 2017, we promoted from within. Promoted all these guys from within when Frank Reich left. Preston Taylor and what was the other guy's name? And it fell apart. It was not as successful as people realized. So just promoting from within does not always necessarily mean success. Now, I agree, Brian Johnson should be the obvious choice and probably will be. And if he doesn't get the job as offense coordinator, there's going to be somebody out there who's going to steal him away. It's just like Deuce Staley leaving because he couldn't get that that next step up opportunity here. He's still not. He just went to Carolina to be with Frank Reich, and he still is not the offensive coordinator. He's the assistant head coach / running back coach still. Look, whatever. I'm not going to make this about Deuce. Some guys just aren't coordinators. But there's no guaranteed success from the promote within. So that veteran voice, do you make it the offense coordinator and unfortunately move on from Brian Johnson, or say you're just not ready to call plays yet? Or if you give him that opportunity, you need a veteran voice in that offensive coaching room so that if he struggles or has questions or has a bad moment or questions stuff, you've got that voice that can back him up on the play calling duties. We've seen that before in the past. You got a consultant or something like that, and they take over play calling duties when you're struggling, whatever. Maybe that's what you do. Or you go on the defensive side, Jonathon Gannon, and people bash Jonathon Gannon. I have plenty of times. And yet, the defense and Jonathon Gannon came up small in the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about it. You can make excuses for the penalty, the field conditions, whatever you want to make excuses for. I'm not making excuses. They came up small. They did. But over the course of the year, big picture, Jonathon Gannon, the defense, was obviously, statistically speaking, one of the best in the league. And there's the question. Do you promote from within? The D-backs coach, the defensive line coach. There's a bunch of guys from within. People are talking about promoting from within. I think the defensive backs coach, I can't recall his name off the top of my head. A lot of people say that he's very popular in the locker room. The players like him, and that he would make a good choice. Great. But that doesn't guarantee success, and that's still an even younger coaching room than before if you're promoting from within. You go out and bring somebody in. Dude, first and foremost, Vic Fangio has already signed to be a defensive coordinator in Miami. Was it Miami? I think it was Miami. Or Carolina, or somewhere, Denver. He's been signed somewhere. So he's off the board. And I don't even know why people want Vic Fangio. Because basically, Jonathon Gannon's defensive scheme, which we all hated, which we all talked about, why don't you blitz that zone coverage and blah, 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 no pressing at the line. And that's what Vic Fangio does. To think that whoever the next coordinator is going to come in here and completely, instantly reshape the defensive scheme that the Eagles run is insane. Howie Roseman has built this roster, and I know there's a lot of turnover going to happen. Bradbury's a free agent. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a free agent. T.J. Edwards, Kazir White, both of them's a free agent. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. There's a lot of free agents on this defense. But the defense has been built to be played a certain way. And the next coordinator might tweak it some, but it's not going to be addressed. You're not going to go out there and go get Wade Phillips to run a 3-4 defense like he used to, or Lovie Smith and his defense. No. It's going to be a variation of what we've been running, maybe some tweaks, but a variation because you've got certain type of personnel here in the building already. So you can't just go flipping it. You just can't make changes. And just going to say this right now. The people that are suggesting Seth Joyner and Rex Ryan, Sexy Rexy, get out of here. First off, Seth Joyner has never coached a day in his life, to my knowledge. We hate him. We bashed him nonstop for his awful clickbait material all year long. Now you want him to be our defensive coordinator? Now he's going to save the day? No. He's never actually said he wants to be a coach or not, to my knowledge. You're not going to take a guy that's never coached and make him your defensive coordinator just like that. He's not DeMeco Ryan was working his way up. Went from player to coach to defensive coordinator to head coach. That's not what Seth Joyner's done. So why do we want Seth Joyner here to be our defensive coordinator? Just because he was part of the old Buddy Ryan defense. That's why. And everybody wants Jim Johnson's defense all over again. That's just not the way this team's built. That's not the way this NFL is. How many defenses really play that Jim Johnson old school style, blitz heavy defense, pressure the quarterback, hawk them, all that? Were they in the Super Bowl? No. Yeah, you want to blitz and have a little bit more pressure. You want to get off that zone coverage a little bit more often in certain scenarios. But the philosophies that Jonathon Gannon used this year, we talked about it with Nick Sirianni being the new school coach. Well, the philosophies that Jonathon Gannon used, they're the kind of defenses that get to the Super Bowl now, get deep runs in the playoffs. You can tweak it a little bit, yes. But you don't want to completely flip it. You don't. And people are saying Rex Ryan because rumors is he was interviewing to be the defensive coordinator with the Broncos and Sean Payton. Guy hasn't coached in 200 years. He's been behind the desk also for 200 years. Don't give me Rex Ryan as your best option. Don't give me that. Rex Ryan, Seth Joyner, I don't even want to hear their name. If somebody mentions them in my timeline as potential defensive coordinators, look, I give everybody the opportunity to say their piece on this show. Nobody's opinion's unwanted. But they're bad opinions if that's what you think. Or it just shows that you don't know football very well. Thank you, Peanut. Appreciate it. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, you promote from within. Sure, fine. But I still will stick to that firm thing that you need a veteran voice to back up Nick Sirianni, to back up Brian Johnson, to back up whoever it is. And Mark said earlier, and again, I didn't fact check him, but he said replacing two coordinators has only happened twice in the last 30 years. Well, we kind of need to replace three coordinators. Joe, I'll get to your comment in a second. Because Michael Clay, the special teams coordinator, is the one that should lose his job, in my opinion. I said it all year that special teams was eventually going to bite us in the ass. It did in the Super Bowl. So maybe it's time to just move on and just clean slate, all three new coordinators, Nick Sirianni, which let's compliment Nick Sirianni for a second. He's been a head coach for 2 years. We've already appeared in the Super Bowl, and his coaching tree's already produced 2 head coaches. And I read a report or a story that Brian Johnson is going to be fast-tracked to being a head coach. That's going to be, if he becomes our offensive coordinator, within 2 years, Brian Johnson's probably going to be a head coach. Because teams around the league see what he did with Jalen Hurts, the work he put in there. Teams like, I'm not saying these teams need coaches yet, but teams that have these young, mobile quarterbacks that they're trying to develop, the Trey Lances, the Justin Fields, these kind of guys. I don't know which ones coming out in the draft are those guys. They're going to be like, we need to get this guy in here to run our team. Because look what he did. Look what he did with Jalen Hurts. So Brian Johnson, that Nick Sirianni coaching tree is already producing. So let's give him a tip of the cap. Because for a guy that nobody wanted in this city, he's already brought us to a Super Bowl. He's turned Jalen Hurts into a top 5 quarterback. And he's produced 2 head coaches already. It's great. So Joe's saying Lovie Smith. Now, I don't know a lot about Lovie Smith specifically. His schemes specifically. But I'm pretty sure he is not a blitz-happy defensive coordinator. I don't know if he's the guy that's going to win over the fan base. But if you could get, because he just lost his job as the head coach. So what I would do with Lovie Smith, it's a perfect example. I don't know what his specialty was. Linebackers, defensive line, secondary. A guy with his experience probably could coach any position. I would try to bring him in here. You promote the defensive backs coordinator. Whoever. Or defensive backs coach. to be the coordinator because that's what seems to be a popular choice amongst the players. You promote him. And then you bring in Lovie Smith as assistant defensive coordinator / defensive backs coach, defensive line coach, whatever it may be. So he's there. He helps groom whoever the new defensive coordinator is. Helps as an added voice. Someone that Nick Sirianni can go to. Yo, what do you think of this? You're a legend. You've been around. You've taken the Bears to the Super Bowl. You know, been around the block. You've seen everything there is to see in the NFL. What do you think of this? So Lovie Smith as a coordinator, I'm not sure of. But as an assistant, I would be okay with. Look, I brought it up yesterday somewhere. Actually, maybe it was on Jeff Warren's podcast, the Philadelphia Sports Table podcast, when I did it, available on Apple iTunes and all those places where podcasts are found. It's linked in my Twitter page somewhere. We had a young head coach before in Doug Peterson. We won a Super Bowl in Doug Peterson's second year as a head coach. Who was our defensive coordinator that year? Jim Schwartz. The defense got smoked in the Super Bowl. We still won. But we were able to have that veteran voice backing up Doug Peterson. We hated Jim Schwartz, maybe more than we hated Jonathon Gannon. We pushed him out of the city. I know I did. But that veteran voice had been a head coach before, had success around the NFL before. Having him here was critical to Doug Peterson, especially since they were on the same page. Doug Peterson had Schwartz's back. Schwartz had Doug Peterson's back. Now, Gannon had Sirianni's back. Sirianni had his back, obviously. But having that veteran voice is critical, in my opinion. I saw somebody put out Greg Roman from the Ravens. There's a lot of names out there for these coordinator positions. Greg Roman for offensive coordinator, though, because he obviously did well with Lamar Jackson there in Baltimore. I do believe we need that veteran voice. Again, if you don't promote from within, some of these guys are going to move on to other spots. Look, Gannon and Steichen, they need offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. Often when a coordinator gets promoted to head coach, they go to their former team and poach position guys to get that promotion. There's a good chance that happens here. A very good chance. We might lose some of these guys to bigger roles with Arizona and Indy. It's possible. So if you don't promote from within, you're going to lose these potential, future assets. So it's going to be, to really sum this whole thing up, this is a huge offseason for Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, because there are so many free agents and the Jalen Hurts contract that are sitting there that he's got to figure out. And Nick Sirianni has to rebuild his staff completely because he lost his coordinators. He's going to lose some of his positional coaches to these new head coaches. It's critical. We want to get back. And look, I said it Monday, and I'll say it again. So long as Jalen Hurts is the leader of this team, as long as Jalen Hurts doesn't regress any bit, which, wow, that just popped into my head there, that word, regress. We never thought Jalen Hurts was going to progress this quickly. And we assume that Jalen Hurts is going to be even better next year. I don't know how he could be any better, as a player on the field next year. But could there be regression from Jalen Hurts? I'm going to have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about that another time. But as long as Jalen Hurts is leader, I'm confident that this team is going to be right back there. Look at the NFC East. The Cowboys are a train wreck. Somehow they're the fifth favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. And the offseason hasn't even started yet. I don't get the odds makers there. No clue what they're thinking there. But I don't worry about them. The Giants, still so many question marks there with their quarterback situation. Washington, sorry guys, Trev, Stoner, rep the district. Your quarterback situation's a disaster. That team's got lots of question marks there. As long as your ownership is still the same, I don't worry about the NFC East. The Eagles are going to be the class of this division for the foreseeable future, which means playoffs. Now, with our tough schedule next year, will we be the number 1 seed in 14-3? I don't know. Odds are no. But I'm confident that we can get back to the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, we've got the experience factor now. None of these guys have not been there. Crucial, critical offseason in play right now for Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni. And what they do over the next couple days, next couple weeks, I don't expect it to be long before they announce new coordinators. I don't. They're going to announce these guys in the next couple days. By Monday, when we do this show on Monday, we will already know who the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator is for this team. We will. I firmly believe that. Now, the question will be, what else they do with the free agents, whether they extend, who they extend, whether they re-sign, don't re-sign, the Jalen Hurts saga, we're going to see all that. It's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. March 15th, new league season. A couple of days before that, legal tampering. Not long. It's going to be here before we know it. The most crucial offseason in Eagles history is here. No doubt about it in my mind. All right. So what's next? Let's keep talking. What's next for this Philadelphia sports city, this Philadelphia sports fan base? Can the Sixers continue this run of Philly teams reaching at least the title games in their respective sport? You know, Jeff Warren on the podcast tried to get me talk Flyers. I'm like, look, I don't connect to the Flyers. There's no way. I know the Flyers are a mediocre 500 team, which blew my mind when he told me their record on the show. Had no idea they were a 500 team. But I have no faith, no confidence, no thoughts on the Flyers whatsoever. It's on the Sixers to continue this. But it's a book that we've read before. It's a movie that we've read. It's just a reboot of the same story again. And I'm tired of hearing the same story. That's why I don't have that confidence. The Phillies are about to kick off their NL pennant defending season. Can we be confident that this Phillies team can get back? I don't know. I think people are really hyped for this Phillies season. The Trey Turner signing, some of the trades. Yeah, Joe, the Sixers will fade. I mean, we've seen this story before. Until they don't fade, Joe, I'm not going to let my emotions buy in until, look, I'm going to watch. I'm going to cheer. I'm going to live tweet every game. But I'm not going to let my emotions get too high until we see them get past the second round. Until they prove that they're a different team. And then with the Phillies, look, people are assuming the Phillies are going to be right back in it this year. But let's be honest. What do I talk about on the show all the time? Timing in sports. Well, the timing for the Phillies is awful. They're sort of all in with eyes on the future with Painter and Abel and all those guys. They're sort of all in right now. They've signed Taijuan Walker, Trey Turner. They made the trade for Soto. Brought in Craig Kimbrell. They made all these moves, short-term and long-term moves. The Braves are still a damn good team. The Mets, I know they're going to Met, but they're still a damn good team. Dodgers, still a damn good team. Cardinals, Brewers, the list goes on. There are a lot of really good teams in the NL. So would it be out of the realm of possibilities that the Phillies have to get a wild card spot to get in the playoffs again because of the division they're in? Look at the NL East in baseball. Phillies, Mets, Braves, Marlins, Nationals, whatever. Compared to the Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. The two NL divisions there, night and day. Difference there. It's all about timing. And I don't think enough Phillies fans are thinking about the fact that Bryce Harper will not be on this roster for the first April, May, 3 months. Is he back by July 1st? He's going to try to be. But I don't think enough people are thinking about that. And what not having him to start the season is going to be like. I know Trey Turner's here, and that's going to help the offense. But I don't know. I think there's too much confidence. We also don't know if Rob Thompson, Philly Rob, we love him. Look, I'm wearing my NL East champion shirt. I didn't even realize that. My National League champ shirt here. Feels good to put this on still. I got to get an Eastern Conference or National or bleh. Oh, man. an Eagles conference champion shirt. People assume that Rob Thompson, we had to fire Joe Girardi, and I was all on board with that. But Rob Thompson came in, caught lightning in a bottle, that spark. Will Rob Thompson's voice translate again this season? Will it get these players playing at their best? We don't know. This will be Rob Thompson's first time ever running a spring training. We don't know. We don't know who Rob Thompson, we know Rob Thompson, the spark, second hottest guy in baseball. We know what Rob Thompson did last year in that unique situation. We know what Rob Thompson, the interim manager, does. We don't know what Rob Thompson, the manager, does. Look, it came out at the end of the season. Rob Thompson almost retired from baseball. He was almost ready to call it a career and go off into the sunset. We don't know what it's going to be like from this year. And that's still, I have a couple concerns as we get ready for pitchers and catchers. And we'll dive more into them as the week goes on and next week goes on. I got pressing questions with this Phillies team. Rob Thompson's voice. Can he catch lightning twice? Bryce Harper being out for a while. That's not true. His responsibility was running spring training as a coach on Girardi's staff. It was still Joe Girardi's team. There's a difference between being in the big chair and the second chair. Mark, you're in the second chair next to me normally. I'm in the big chair. There's a difference. There's always a difference between being the guy that everybody looks to and the secondary guy. There is a massive difference there. So he's a question mark for me. We don't know. We don't know about Bryce Harper when he comes back, what he's going to be like. There's a lot of questions. Look, I'm not trying to be negative. This is not a negative opinion on the Phillies. The Phillies are going to be good. The Phillies probably will make another wild card appearance. Maybe they win the division between how things go, how the ball bounces, and how the season goes. But the question is, what's next for Philly sports? And who is the next team that's going to make the deep run? And I've got more confidence as we sit here, February 15th, 2023. I have more confidence that the Eagles, out of any of the other teams, repeat at reaching their respective sports title game. It's not a knock on the other team. I believe the Phillies will make a playoff run. I believe the Sixers will at least get to the second round again. Whether they get past it, I don't know. If they have to play the Bucks and the Celtics in the second round and the conference finals, they're not going to be able to get by one or both of those teams. That's why tonight's game against the Cavs is so important. Got to keep climbing those stands. Got to find a way to get that number 2 seed so you can avoid playing those Bucks and Celtics both back to back like that. You have a full season of Philly Rob and some significant bullpen and shortstop and leadoff acquisition. Significant bullpen. Kent Kimball, is he going to rebound? Kent Kimball has not been Craig Kimball for a long time. Soto is another Alvarado. I like the move. I love the move. But there's a difference. Shortstop, that's huge, obviously. But you don't want to Bryce Harper. So you add and subtract. Could be a difference. I see 11, 12 wins for the Eagles and potential road appearance. Yeah. I think this is more likely than a Phillies repeat World Series appearance. I think this is more likely than the Sixers getting out of the second round. And that's why. And it comes down to Jalen Hurts and his laser focus. We see Joel Embiid sometimes lose that laser focus. The Phillies, they're an emotional bunch. I don't know if they have a Jalen Hurts or a Joel Embiid type. Bryce Harper leads on the field. We talked about this last year throughout the entire Phillies season, that the Phillies didn't have a real true leader. They had a bunch of different leaders that led different ways, but they didn't have that one guy that kept them laser focused. This is the most believable occurrence out of these 4 or 5 major sports teams. I don't know what the Union are going to be like this year. I mean, at some point, I'm sure we'll talk Union. We'll get Parcero on here. We'll have a thought process with it, whatever. But what's next is that we don't know until the Eagles get here again. Because there's so many question marks on the Sixers team. So many question marks about the Phillies. And baseball is such a long season. So much can happen. I can't wait to talk baseball every day on this show again. I've talked so much, I haven't even gotten through half a cup of my coffee yet. Look, this is not about being negative. It's actually about being positive about what's next. And that's just because I'm so positive. I don't care that there's 3,000 free agents on this Eagles team. You've got Nick Sirianni and you've got Jalen Hurts leading the way, and Howie Roseman. You got the new Howie Roseman that has made changes the way he builds teams. Howie Roseman has earned my confidence that he is going to find a way to bring back who he can, and the ones he can't bring back, replace them properly. Nick Sirianni, his way, his bravado of doing things and leading people, and the T-shirt gate and the getting your players back. It works. We played in the Super Bowl. Phil is just miserable because he didn't make it wasn't 1,000. It was close, but it wasn't 1,000. And I'm not miserable. I'm more miserable about the tweet that I put out about the A.J. Brown, Juju Smith-Shuster thing, and how people took it the wrong way. And everybody hated on me for it. And I lost like a boatload of followers because of it. Either that or because of my Rihanna take. I'm not sure which one it was, but I lost a bunch of followers. Look, the laser focus of Jalen Hurts. Look, when Jalen Hurts said on Monday when he was cleaning out his locker room and they had the end-of-year interviews, he was asked about his contract extension. He said, there'll be plenty of time to talk about that. Right now, I'm focused on getting better and getting back to the Super Bowl next year. And whatever it takes, finding out every mistake we made and making sure we don't do it again. That is what I want. Laser focus, dedication, determination. And that's why the A.J. Brown situation annoyed me so much. Because Jalen Hurts is focused on one thing. He doesn't care about the outside noise. Laser focused. Super Bowl. Title. That's it. A.J. Brown brought a distraction to the room. There's a difference. And it's not a knock. And I get it. Coming to the aid of his teammate, blah, blah, blah. Don't stoop to other people's levels. Something that Joel Embiid would have done in the past. And that is, I will give Joel Embiid credit. He doesn't get into the drama any more than he used to. Now, he gets a little fiery in a game, might push and shove a little bit in a game. But troll Joel Embiid, kind of a thing of the past to an extent. Maybe fatherhood changed him. I don't know what it is. But you don't see him trolling people on social media like he used to. And that's a sign of growth. And that's a positive thing. Let's be honest, that is a positive thing. For sure. That Joel Embiid is a more grown-up, mature person as a player, off the field, or off the court. So, with that all said, what's next? It's going to be a repeat Super Bowl appearance for the Eagles. We'll see about the Sixers and the Phillies. Flyers, I can't connect to the Flyers. I just can't. I have no connection to them. No emotional connection to them. No emotional reaction to them, win or lose. I can't keep a game on for more than 2 minutes at a time without losing my attention. I have turned down half a dozen free tickets to go with my buddy Manny to Flyers games. Turn it all down. I have no attachment to them whatsoever. So it's all the Eagles. And we're going to keep talking Eagles. We'll see what we talk about specifically tomorrow. It'll be more coaching talk. It'll be more of everything like that. Free agency. What's today, Wednesday? Yeah, so tomorrow, pitchers and catchers. Maybe I'll dive more into the Phillies and what's next for this Phillies team as pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. Most of the guys are down there already. Saw somebody post something about Alec Boehm's added 12 pounds of muscle. Could Alec Boehm be a 25, 30 home run hitter this year? Maybe. It's going to be really interesting. I got a lot of thoughts on the Phillies. A lot of random thoughts that we'll get into this spring training about this Phillies team. Doesn't look like I'm heading to spring training this year, unfortunately. Like to. Doesn't look like it. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up right there. Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. Again, like, subscribe, follow, turn notifications on, share this show out. Drop your comments, your thoughts, your questions about what is next. Even if you're watching on replay, because I will go back and I check them all. I do. Like, share, subscribe, turn notifications on. I can't reiterate that enough. What is next for Philadelphia sports? Well, what is next for me is I'm going to go give my dogs my meds. I'm going to head into work. But I'll be back here. The week break of doing the show because of the Super Bowl hangover lasted one day. Here I am, back at it every day. We will talk Sixers Cavaliers. It's a huge game tonight. We will talk about that tomorrow, how the game plays. It's a really, really big, important game. The Cavs are only one game behind us right now. So it's a huge game down in South Philly tonight. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about more. Everything there is to do. I am Phil Steichen. This is Trending in the AM. Yo, it's go Birds. That's what's next for Philly. It'll always be an Eagles city.